Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a simple truth. A busy life is not necessarily a meaningful life. You see, it's easy to be busy. We live in a world that celebrates the hustle, the noise, the constant movement. But what if I told you that activity is not necessarily accomplishment? What if I told you that many people are sprinting, but in the wrong direction? The question is not, are you busy, but rather, are you busy doing the things that matter? Let me say this clearly. Don't spend major time on minor things. Every day, you and I are presented with choices. What to do, where to go, who to be. And buried in those choices are the real treasures. The few things that count. The few things that will actually move the needle in your life. Now, it takes wisdom to know the difference. And it takes discipline to follow through. You've got to learn to say no to the things that look good so you can say yes to the things that are truly great. And the truth is, if you don't design your life, someone else will. If you don't decide what matters, the world will distract you with what doesn't. So how do you focus? You start with purpose. You get clear on why you wake up in the morning. Because when the why is strong, the how becomes easier. You practice discipline. Not once, not twice, but daily discipline is the key that unlocks the door to focus. It's the muscle you build by showing up, especially when it's inconvenient. You invest in yourself, not just with money, but with time, with learning, with habits. You become the kind of person who attracts success, not chases it. And perhaps most importantly, you take the long view. You stop asking what feels good now and start asking what will matter 5 years from now. So let me ask you today, what is truly important in your life? What are you building that will outlast the moment? What are you doing daily that your future self will celebrate? Don't let the noise distract you from the signal. Don't let the urgent replace the important. Life is too short to waste on the meaningless. Choose to focus. Choose to grow. Choose to major in the major. Because in the end, it's not how busy you were that will matter. It's what you became by focusing on what really counts. Thank you. Too many people confuse being busy with being productive. They fill their days with countless activities, meetings, emails, and tasks, thinking that all this motion is progress. But Jim Rohn taught us that activity does not equal achievement. The real question we must ask ourselves every day is, are we spending our time on the things that truly matter? You see, life presents us with an endless stream of opportunities, distractions, and urgencies. We live in a culture that praises multitasking and quick responses. But the truth is, not everything deserves your attention. In fact, most of what clamors for your time is noise. Noise that distracts you from your real goals and steals your energy. Rohn used to say, don't major in minor things. This simple phrase carries profound wisdom. What does it mean? It means that you have to learn to differentiate between the major things, the activities and commitments that move you toward your highest goals, and the minor things, which are those small, often urgent, but ultimately inconsequential tasks that fill your day but don't add lasting value. When you major in minor things, you spend your life caught in a cycle of reacting instead of creating. You respond to emails that don't matter. You engage in conversations that don't inspire you. And you chase after tasks that don't align with your bigger picture. As a result, you end the day exhausted but unfulfilled, wondering why you didn't get closer to what you really want. The secret is learning to prioritize with precision. Jim Rohn was a master at this. He believed that your effectiveness is not determined by how many things you do, but by how well you choose those things. You must be ruthless in your decision-making, constantly asking, is this important? Will this move me closer to my goal? Will this add value to my life or the lives of others? This calls for clarity of purpose. When you know your purpose, the reason why you do what you do, it becomes easier to spot the minor things that don't deserve your energy. Without a clear purpose, you're like a ship without a rudder, drifting wherever the currents take you. But with purpose, every decision becomes a filter. You begin to say no to distractions and yes to what truly matters. But saying no is not easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. There's a social pressure to say yes to everything, to be available to everyone, and to keep up with every opportunity. Yet if you say yes to everything, you dilute your focus and effectiveness. Remember, if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. Rohn would remind you that discipline is the key here. It takes discipline to guard your time and attention fiercely. It takes discipline to resist the temptation of instant gratification, and to choose the activities that may not be exciting now, but will pay dividends later. It's also important to recognize that the minor things often masquerade as urgent things. Your phone buzzing with notifications, last-minute requests, or unexpected interruptions may scream for your attention, but they rarely help you achieve your long-term vision. Don't let the urgent steal time from the important. One practical way to apply this lesson is to schedule your day around your major things. Identify 2 or 3 priorities, those few actions that will make the biggest difference, and give them your best energy and time. Protect this time fiercely. Treat it as sacred. Everything else should orbit around these core tasks. Another powerful habit is to regularly review your activities and ask yourself, what am I spending my time on? Is this helping me grow? Is this contributing to my goals? Be honest with yourself. Sometimes we hold on to habits and tasks simply because they are comfortable or familiar, not because they are valuable. Remember, your time and attention are limited resources. You can't afford to waste them on things that don't matter. Instead, invest them wisely on your personal growth, your health, your relationships, and your meaningful work. When you learn to major in the majors and minor in the minors, you unlock a new level of productivity and fulfillment. You start to live intentionally rather than reactively. You create a life that reflects your values and aspirations, not just your circumstances. So today I challenge you, take a look at your life and ask yourself where you're majoring in minors. Identify those areas where you're giving too much attention to things that don't move the needle. Then decide to refocus your time and energy on what truly matters. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. This is the heart of Jim Rohn's timeless wisdom. It's not about working harder or longer. It's about working smarter and with purpose. If you do this, your life will change. Your results will improve, and you will discover the real power of focused effort. Because at the end of the day, success is not about how busy you are. It's about how well you spend your time on the things that truly count. Purpose is the foundation of everything worthwhile in life. Without purpose, you're like a ship adrift in the ocean, tossed by every wave and current, without direction. Jim Rohn taught us that knowing your purpose is the first step toward creating a focused and meaningful life. It's the anchor that keeps you steady when storms come, and the compass that guides you through uncertainty. When you wake up every morning, what is it that drives you? What gets you out of bed and into action? If you can't answer that clearly, you'll find yourself wandering through your days, distracted by fleeting desires and external pressures. But when your purpose is clear, it becomes the fuel that powers your decisions, your discipline, and your dedication. Purpose gives your life meaning beyond the moment. It connects your daily actions to a bigger vision, a higher cause, or a deeply held value. Without this connection, tasks become chores and goals feel hollow. With purpose, even the toughest challenges become opportunities, because they serve something greater than just the immediate payoff. Jim Rohn often said, when you know what you want and you want it badly enough, you'll find a way to get it. This isn't just about wishful thinking. It's about having a clear destination in mind. When your purpose is strong, your brain and your heart align to find solutions, overcome obstacles, and push through setbacks. Your focus sharpens because distractions pale in comparison to what you truly want. Purpose also acts as a filter for your choices. Every day you face countless decisions, some big, some small. Without purpose, you might say yes to things out of obligation, fear, or habit. But with purpose, you learn to say no to what doesn't align with your goal. This is crucial because time and energy are limited. If you scatter them in too many directions, you won't make meaningful progress anywhere. Think about the most successful people you know, whether in business, sports, arts, or any field. One thing they share is a strong sense of purpose. They don't just work hard, they work with intention. They have a clear picture of why they do what they do, and that vision keeps them focused and motivated, even when the going gets tough. Purpose also helps you stay consistent. Jim Rohn taught that discipline is often the difference between success and failure, but discipline is easier to maintain when it's tied to a meaningful purpose. It's one thing to push yourself because it's another to push yourself because you want to fulfill a purpose that resonates deeply. Another important aspect of purpose is that it helps you measure progress in a meaningful way. When your goals align with your purpose, you don't just chase arbitrary achievement. You create milestones that reflect growth in the areas that truly matter to you. This builds confidence and momentum, reinforcing your commitment and focus. Without purpose, it's easy to become discouraged when results don't come quickly. But purpose gives you patience and perspective. It reminds you that growth and success are often long-term journeys. You learn to celebrate small wins because they are steps toward something bigger, not just fleeting moments of pleasure. Purpose also encourages you to invest in yourself. When you have a strong why, you're more likely to seek knowledge, develop skills, and build relationships that support your vision. You see personal growth not as an option, but as a necessity. This mindset transforms challenges into opportunities for learning and improvement. Jim Rohn also highlighted that purpose is not something you find by accident. It requires reflection, self-awareness, and sometimes trial and error. It's about understanding your values, passions, and strengths. What moves you emotionally? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Finding your purpose is a journey, not a one-time event. It's perfectly okay if your purpose evolves over time as you grow and gain new experiences. The key is to keep seeking clarity and aligning your daily actions with that evolving purpose. When you live with purpose, you begin to see life through a different lens. Setbacks become lessons, obstacles become tests of character, and hard work becomes a path to fulfillment. Your energy is focused, your mind is clear, and your heart is engaged. So today I encourage you to spend some time thinking about your purpose. Ask yourself, what do I truly care about? What difference do I want to make? What legacy do I want to build? Write down your answers and revisit them often. Let your purpose be your guiding star. Because when you focus on what really matters, fueled by a clear and powerful purpose, you don't just survive, you thrive. You don't just go through the motions. You create a life of significance and impact. And that, my friend, is the real secret to lasting success and happiness. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many people think of discipline as a harsh, restrictive force that limits freedom and joy. But Jim Rohn taught us something much deeper. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. It is the invisible thread that connects your dreams with your reality. Without discipline, purpose remains just a wish, and potential goes untapped. Imagine for a moment that you have a goal, a vision of where you want to be, what you want to achieve, or the kind of person you want to become. That's the starting point. But a goal without discipline is like a car without fuel. You may have direction, but you won't get very far. Discipline is the fuel, the engine, and the driver all rolled into one. It's what keeps you moving forward when motivation fades, when distractions tempt you, or when challenges try to pull you off course. Jim Rohn often said that motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. Motivation is a feeling. It can be fleeting, inconsistent, and dependent on circumstances. Discipline, however, is a habit, a commitment you make to yourself regardless of how you feel. Discipline means showing up every day, doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to. Why is discipline so crucial for focus? Because staying focused on what really matters is not easy. The world is full of distractions. Social media, emails, noise, interruptions, and urgent but trivial demands. Without discipline, it's almost impossible to resist these distractions. Discipline helps you set boundaries and guard your time and energy fiercely. Think about the daily decisions that test your discipline. Do you get out of bed early to work on your priorities? Or do you hit snooze? Do you choose to eat healthily? Or do you give in to comfort food? Do you practice your craft, read a book, or improve a skill? Or do you waste time on mindless entertainment? Each of these decisions may seem small on their own, but together they shape your life. Discipline also teaches you to delay gratification. One of the greatest challenges in life is to resist the temptation of immediate pleasure for the sake of long-term gain. Whether it's saving money instead of spending it, practicing a skill instead of watching TV, or sticking to a workout instead of skipping it. Discipline helps you prioritize what matters over what feels good right now. Jim Rohn emphasized that discipline is freedom. It may sound paradoxical, but the more disciplined you are, the more freedom you gain. Why? Because discipline gives you control over your actions and your life. It prevents you from being a slave to your impulses, circumstances, or other people's expectations. Discipline allows you to create the life you want, rather than settling for what comes your way. Another important aspect of discipline is consistency. Success rarely comes from a single act of effort. It is the result of repeated disciplined actions over time. The compound effect of consistent effort is powerful. The small daily choices you make, sustained over weeks, months, and years, build momentum and eventually lead to breakthroughs. But discipline doesn't mean perfection. Jim Rohn understood that everyone slips up now and then. What matters is your response. Do you let one failure derail you, or do you get back on track quickly? Discipline includes forgiveness and resilience. It's about commitment, not punishment. Discipline also strengthens your character. Each time you choose to do what's right over what's easy, you build inner strength and self-respect. This inner strength becomes a source of confidence and courage, which in turn fuels further discipline. It's a virtuous cycle. One way to develop discipline is to start small. Choose one habit or task that aligns with your priorities and commit to it daily. Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a book, writing down your goals, exercising for 15 minutes, or planning your day. Build this habit until it becomes automatic. Then add another. Gradually, your discipline muscles will grow stronger. Discipline also requires structure and environment. Jim Rohn often advised designing your surroundings to support your goals. Remove temptations, create routines, and set clear deadlines. The easier it is to do the right thing, the more likely you are to stay disciplined. In conclusion, discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It transforms intention into action, dreams into reality. It empowers you to focus on what really matters by helping you resist distractions, delay gratification, and show up consistently. Discipline is not a burden but a gift you give yourself, a tool for freedom, growth, and success. So today, commit to building your discipline. Start with small steps, stay consistent, and remember that every act of discipline brings you closer to your goals. Because in the end, it's discipline that separates those who dream from those who achieve. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful skills you can develop if you want to focus on what really matters. It might seem simple at first, but it's anything but easy. Saying no often feels uncomfortable because we worry about disappointing others, missing opportunities, or looking uncooperative. But Jim Rohn taught us that the ability to say no is essential for success, growth, and maintaining your focus. Most people struggle with saying no because they want to be liked, accepted, or seen as helpful. We live in a world that encourages us to say yes to everything, to be available at all times, and to take on as many responsibilities as possible. This mindset can quickly become a trap. If you say yes to every request, invitation, or distraction, you will spread yourself too thin, lose your focus, and ultimately burn out. The truth is, if you say yes to everything, you say no to your own priority. Every time you agree to something that doesn't align with your goals, values, or purpose, you take time and energy away from what truly matters. Saying no isn't about rejecting people. It's about protecting your life and your vision. Jim Rohn used to say, "You cannot afford to make too many compromises in your life, or you will become a compromise." When you fail to say no, you allow others to set your agenda and dictate your focus. You give away your power and sacrifice your progress. The ability to say no gives you the power to say yes to what really counts. Saying no with grace means refusing without resentment or guilt. It means being honest and respectful while standing firm. You don't have to be rude or defensive. You can say no kindly and clearly, showing that you value both your time and the other person's feelings. For example, instead of saying, "I'm too busy," you might say, "I appreciate you thinking of me, but I need to focus on some important commitments right now." This way you communicate your boundaries without burning bridges. One reason saying no is so difficult is fear. Fear of missing out, fear of rejection, or fear of conflict. But Jim Rohn would remind you that fear is a poor decision maker. When you let fear control your choices, you lose sight of your priorities. You trade long-term gain for short-term comfort. The reality is that every yes you give out of fear or obligation is a step away from your true path. Learning to say no requires practice and courage. Start small by saying no to minor distractions or requests that don't fit your schedule. Notice how it feels and how people respond. Most of the time, you'll find that the world doesn't end when you decline politely. In fact, people often respect you more when you set clear boundaries. Saying no also teaches others how to treat you. If you're always available and always agreeing, people will assume you have no limits. But when you say no consistently, you communicate that your time and focus are valued. This not only protects your priorities, but also builds your reputation as someone who is serious and intentional. Jim Rohn often spoke about the importance of being selective about the opportunities you pursue. Not every opportunity is the right one. Sometimes saying no to a good opportunity is necessary to say yes to a great one. The best leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers are those who have mastered the art of choosing carefully. They understand that clarity comes from exclusion. By removing what doesn't serve them, they create space for what does. Saying no also creates space for rest, renewal, and reflection. When your schedule is packed with obligations, you have little time to reach. This leads to stress, burnout, and diminished creativity. Protecting your time by saying no allows you to maintain balance and energy, which ultimately supports your ability to focus and perform at your best. Remember, your yes is a gift. It's not something you should give away lightly. When you say yes to the right things, your energy aligns, your passion ignites, and your efforts multiply. But when you say yes too often or without thought, your energy is diluted and your effectiveness wanes. Ultimately, learning to say no with grace is an act of self-respect and wisdom. It's about honoring your own path and being truthful about what you can and cannot take on. It's about realizing that your time and energy are precious resources that deserve protection. So today, start practicing the power of no. Be clear, kind, and firm. Protect your focus by turning down what doesn't align with your goals and values. You'll find that the more you say no to distractions and obligations, the more you say yes to your purpose, growth, and success. Because at the end of the day, the ability to say no is what keeps your life centered on what really matters. Distractions are the silent killers of focus and productivity. They creep into your day disguised as notifications, interruptions, or even well-meaning requests. Jim Rohn taught us that to focus on what really matters, you must eliminate distractions relentlessly. This is not a one-time effort, but a continuous practice of guarding your time and attention like a precious resource. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. Our phones buzz with messages. Social media tempts us to scroll endlessly. Emails demand quick responses, and the noise of everyday life pulls us in countless directions. The average person's attention span has shrunk dramatically because of these constant interruptions. But the truth is, every distraction steals a piece of your most valuable asset, your focused attention. Rohn often said, "You cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight." Eliminating distractions is about changing your direction by controlling your environment and habits. If you allow distractions to dominate your day, you will drift away from your goals without even realizing it. The first step to eliminating distractions is awareness. You have to identify what distracts you the most. Is it social media, emails, phone calls, interruptions from colleagues or family? Once you know your main sources of distraction, you can start to take intentional steps to reduce or remove them. One practical way to reduce distractions is to create dedicated blocks of time for focused work. Jim Rohn emphasized the power of focused effort in short, consistent bursts. Turn off notifications, close unnecessary tabs on your computer, and let people around you know you're in do not disturb mode. This creates a protected space where your mind can dive deep into the work that matters. Another powerful technique is to manage your environment. Your surroundings can either support your focus or sabotage it. Keep your workspace clean and organized. Remove clutter that competes for your attention. Designate specific areas for work, relaxation, and other activities to create mental boundaries. Eliminating distractions also means learning to say no to people and activities that pull you away from your priorities. This ties closely to the previous keynote about saying no with grace. Every yes to a distraction is a no to your focus and progress. Be intentional about where you place your attention and whom you allow into your time. Jim Rohn highlighted that discipline plays a major role here. It takes discipline to resist the urge to check your phone every few minutes, or to step away from a task when it becomes challenging. Developing this discipline is like training a muscle. The more you practice focusing without interruption, the stronger your ability to concentrate becomes. It's also important to recognize that some distractions are internal, not external. Negative thoughts, worries, or the temptation to procrastinate can pull your mind away from the task at hand. Jim Rohn believed in the power of mindset and mental clarity. He encouraged people to cultivate a positive, goal-oriented mindset that naturally minimizes internal distraction. Technology, while a source of distraction, can also be a tool to help eliminate distractions. Use apps or settings that block distracting websites during focused work periods. Schedule specific times to check emails and messages, rather than reacting immediately to every alert. This way, you control technology instead of technology controlling you. Eliminating distractions relentlessly means making focus a priority every day. It requires continuous effort to notice when your attention is drifting and to gently bring it back to what matters. This habit of refocusing builds over time and leads to greater productivity and satisfaction. Jim Rohn's philosophy reminds us that what you focus on expands. When you eliminate distractions and put your energy into your highest priorities, you create momentum and results. Conversely, when you let distractions take over, progress stalls and frustration grows. By protecting your focus, you also protect your creativity and problem-solving ability. When your mind is cluttered with interruptions, it's difficult to think deeply or come up with innovative solutions. Clear, uninterrupted time allows your brain to work at its best. In the end, eliminating distractions relentlessly is about respect. Respect for your own time, goals, and potential. It's about creating conditions that allow you to do your best work and live your best life. So today, start taking a hard look at your day. Identify where distractions creep in and make a plan to eliminate or minimize them. Turn off what isn't essential. Set boundaries and guard your time fiercely. The more you do this, the more you'll find yourself focused, productive, and fulfilled. Because as Jim Rohn would say, the secret to living a successful life is to focus on what really matters, and you cannot do that if distractions are stealing your attention. Prioritizing daily is one of the most powerful habits you can cultivate to focus on what really matters. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, reacting to demands as they come, and feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of tasks. Jim Rohn taught us that success is not about doing more, but about doing what's most important consistently and deliberately. Prioritizing daily means consciously choosing your most valuable actions each day and dedicating your time and energy to them. Every day offers a fresh opportunity to move closer to your goals, but it also comes with distractions and competing demands. Without a clear plan, it's easy to drift through the day reacting to what's urgent rather than what's important. Prioritizing daily helps you separate the two and focus on the activities that drive meaningful progress. Jim Rohn often said, "Either you run the day, or the day runs you." This simple but profound statement reminds us that if we don't take control of how we spend our time, external circumstances and other people's agendas will dictate our focus. When you prioritize daily, you take charge. You create a roadmap for your day that aligns with your bigger vision. One of the key benefits of prioritizing daily is that it helps reduce overwhelm. When you face a long to-do list, it's tempting to try to tackle everything at once, or to procrastinate because the list feels daunting. By prioritizing, you identify the handful of tasks that will have the greatest impact and commit to completing those first. This approach creates momentum and confidence. To prioritize effectively, start by identifying your top 3 to 5 tasks for the day, those that align most closely with your goals and purpose. These are your big rocks. Jim Rohn emphasized the metaphor of filling a jar with big rocks first, then smaller stones and sand. If you fill the jar with sand first, small, less important tasks, you won't have room for the big rocks, your highest priorities. The same goes for your day. Prioritize the big rocks first. Another important aspect of daily prioritization is flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and unexpected events can throw your plans off course. Prioritizing doesn't mean rigidity. It means knowing what matters most and adjusting your schedule to honor those priorities. It's about being proactive, not reactive. Jim Rohn also encouraged reflection as part of the prioritization process. At the end of each day, take a moment to review what you accomplished and what needs to carry over. This reflection helps you refine your priorities for the next day and keeps you aligned with your long-term vision. Prioritizing daily also helps you manage your energy, not just your time. Some tasks require more focus, creativity, or physical effort than others. By scheduling your most important or demanding tasks when you are at your peak energy, you increase your effectiveness and reduce fatigue. Jim Rohn was a big advocate of working smart, not just hard. The power of prioritizing daily extends beyond productivity. It cultivates discipline and intentionality. When you make a habit of deciding each day what truly matters, you build mental clarity and reduce decision fatigue. You free yourself from the trap of constant busyness without progress. Prioritizing also means learning to delegate or eliminate tasks that don't require your personal attention. Jim Rohn understood that you don't have to do everything yourself. By focusing on high-value activities and delegating lower-value ones, you maximize your impact and free up time for what really counts. Another benefit of daily prioritization is improved focus and reduced stress. When you know exactly what you need to accomplish, your mind isn't scattered trying to remember everything or worrying about unfinished tasks. This clarity allows you to work with more concentration and peace of mind. Jim Rohn's teachings remind us that success is built on habits, and prioritizing daily is one of the foundational habits for a focused and fulfilling life. It aligns your daily actions with your bigger goals and ensures that your efforts are not wasted on trivial matters. To start prioritizing daily, consider using tools like to-do lists, planners, or digital apps. Whatever system you choose, make it a habit to begin your day by identifying your top priorities and reviewing them throughout the day. Stay committed to those priorities and protect your time fiercely. Remember, it's not about being busy. It's about being productive on what matters most. Each day is an opportunity to invest your time wisely. When you prioritize daily, you create a powerful habit that keeps you moving steadily toward your dreams. So today, Make a decision to prioritize. Choose your big rocks and put them first. Be flexible, but intentional. Reflect and refine. Guard your focus. Manage your energy. And remember that your daily priorities are the building blocks of your success. Because as Jim Rohn would say, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Prioritizing daily is how you become better, more focused, disciplined, and effective at living a life that matters. Celebrating progress instead of perfection is a vital mindset for anyone serious about focusing on what really matters. Too often people fall into the trap of waiting for perfect conditions, perfect results, or perfect timing before they feel satisfied or motivated to continue. Jim Rohn taught us that perfection is an illusion, a moving target that can paralyze us if we chase it relentlessly. Instead, the real key to lasting success and happiness lies in recognizing and appreciating the small wins and steady progress along the way. Many people become discouraged because they measure their worth or success by how close they are to some ideal standard. They overlook how far they've come, and this creates frustration, self-doubt, and even giving up altogether. But Jim Rohn believed that success is a process, not an event. It is built one step at a time, one decision at a time, and one day at a time. Celebrating progress acknowledges this reality and fuels the journey. Progress, no matter how small, is a sign of growth. It means you are moving forward, learning and improving. When you take time to celebrate progress, you reinforce positive behavior. You create momentum that propels you toward bigger achievements. This celebration doesn't have to be grand or elaborate. It can be as simple as acknowledging a task completed, recognizing an improved habit, or reflecting on a lesson learned. Jim Rohn often said, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day." Celebrating progress is one of those disciplines. It shifts your focus from what you haven't done to what you have accomplished. This shift is powerful because it builds confidence and resilience. When you appreciate progress, you are less likely to be discouraged by setbacks or imperfections. Perfectionism, on the other hand, can be a major obstacle. It causes procrastination, fear of failure, and endless self-criticism. People who strive for perfection often delay taking action because they feel their work isn't good enough yet. Jim Rohn understood that waiting for perfect conditions is a way of avoiding responsibility and growth. Progress is about embracing imperfection and moving forward anyway. Celebrating progress also nurtures a positive mindset. Positive emotions are powerful motivators. When you celebrate even small achievements, you create a sense of satisfaction and joy that encourages you to keep going. This emotional boost can make a big difference, especially when the road ahead looks long or difficult. Another important aspect is that celebrating progress strengthens your self-discipline. Discipline is easier to maintain when it is paired with recognition and reward. Jim Rohn likened success to planting seeds and tending a garden. You don't expect a full harvest overnight. Instead, you nurture the seedlings and celebrate each sprout as a victory. This patient and appreciative approach keeps you engaged and committed. It's also essential to celebrate progress, to maintain balance and avoid burnout. When you focus only on what remains to be done or how far you still have to go, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Taking time to acknowledge what you've achieved refreshes your energy and keeps your motivation alive. It reminds you that your efforts are paying off and that you're on the right path. Jim Rohn's teachings remind us that life is a series of moments, and success is the accumulation of those moments. Celebrating progress means being present and grateful for each step, no matter how small. It cultivates a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity, where you focus on what you have rather than what you lack. One way to celebrate progress is to keep a journal or log of your achievement. Writing down your wins, lessons, and improvements helps you see the big picture and appreciate the journey. Sharing your progress with others, friends, family, or mentors can also enhance your sense of accomplishment and support. Remember, Celebrating progress is not about complacency. It's about recognizing that perfection is not the goal. Growth is. It's about honoring your effort, learning from your mistakes, and building the confidence to keep moving forward. This mindset transforms challenges into opportunities and setbacks into stepping stones. So today, start practicing the habit of celebrating progress. Pause regularly to acknowledge your wins, no matter the size. Appreciate your journey and the person you are becoming. Let go of the need for perfection and embrace the power of consistent, forward movement. Because as Jim Rohn would say, happiness is not something you postpone for the future. It is something you design for the present. Celebrating progress is how you design a fulfilling and focused life, one step at a time.